month, Ms. Deborah Weldon has 21 years, Johnny Fair 16 years, and Tanya Harmon 16 years. The Sheriff's Department is handling the community kitchen lunch tomorrow, so that's something we've been doing for a time now. And then we also have the Association of Counties annual conference coming up August 1st through 3rd. Please make sure you get up with Ms. Bundy to make sure she gets you signed up for that. That's a good event, especially for new folks to kind of get educated on some of the things that they have to offer from the Association of Counties. With regards to the administrator's report, we did have our community cleanup event, and we're pleased with the 380 folks that came out and the 3¼ tons of trash collected. It went fairly well. We actually had better turnout than the event prior. I appreciate Ms. Bundy's work in putting that together with other folks on staff. It does seem that, people aren't as enthused about doing it, and, we'll look at, how to do it in the future or do something different, and certainly welcome any ideas from you folks. The Recreation Project RFP, request for proposals. The Image Committee has finalized the advertisement for a consultant to study our recreation programs and facilities. So everything's in place to advertise that, and then that consultant will come in and, as we talked several times before, and tell us what we have and what we need and can support. And they'll also help us identify sources of money. So we hope to, as we said before, to have this completed, or at least have one chosen in the next 60 days and put that advertisement on before the end of the week. We advertise that on a state website called SCIBO, South Carolina Business Opportunities. It's sort of a standard place you advertise for those kind of things. So we're happy. We're hope that we'll have a good response to that. Also, that's something that's been advertised is the spec building, the industrial spec building. And those proposals are due on Thursday, the 10th. Now, we have a set budget for that. We received a grant from the Department of Commerce to pay for $1.7 million of the $2.3 million. And we are very much on pins and needles about how that'll come in because of the material cost. But we'll know Thursday, and we'll let you all know. That would go to the Infrastructure Committee of the Partnership, which is utilities and city administrator, county administrator, folks that will go through them and evaluate them and then bring them to you all to approve or to look at the recommendation. And there's a whole set of things to grade the proposals on, so that'll all be done. We're being told more and more that as soon as we can get this thing done that we can fill it up because people, because of material costs, don't often want to take the chance of building something. They'd rather buy something that's already built. So we hope that they're accurate on that. Recreation, we've talked about recreation several times. We ended up having 5 teams of 4 to 6 year olds in T-ball. It went very well. There's another week of games, and then the next week there'll be a pizza party and a trophy ceremony for those kids. We're also very pleased and happy that the basketball summer league has gone very well. We have enough players for 3 teams in the 8 to 12 year old ages, 3 teams in the 13 to 17. I think that Mr. Woods usually like 14 to 17, but we had one 13-year-old straggler, so they rounded him up. And have 6 teams in the adult league, 6 teams, which I think says something about things now. Kids are a lot more reluctant to get out and play outdoor stuff where adults want to get out. So additionally, we have some 8 and under kids, and we'll structure that in a kind of a instructional league kind of camp thing. Now, everybody signed up with the draft on the registration, so that's the intent, is to move forward with the draft. There will be some protection, so if somebody's riding together or siblings and things, so there's a little leeway on there. The recreation department tells me that they'll take new players up until practice next week. So they want to have practice next week, open practice, and then pick players. And they feel like, and you all may know, Johnson and Dr. Johnson and Mr. Woods, that once people see things going on, there may be some more interest in that. And we're hoping that that's the case. So the plan is to have games at 5:30 on Monday through Thursday, and each group will have at least 2 games per week. And then they haven't told me how many weeks we'll do that. There's a lot of enthusiasm and people coming on here at the last minute, and we're happy because we didn't really know what to expect. Broadband grants, I did put a map in there, I believe, in y'all's thing. It's not much of a map, but Sandhills Connections, Sandhills Telephone, Sandhills Cablevision, has applied for the second round of CARES Act money, which is the same money they used the first time to build out these broadband lines into the county. And if you remember, they spent their money to begin with to run it down the main highways. And now they want to spend the money to go out into the neighborhoods. So if you look at this map, everybody found it, it's kind of hard to read, but the green areas are where they want to go. And you can see this really kind of going up in the country. So in the areas they're not going, they've already got a lot there in place. So they expect to get funded, and they're not sure if they'll get everything they ask for. There are about a handful of counties that are eligible for this money. But do keep your fingers crossed. They'll know by next week whether they got it. And if y'all have seen them the first time, they don't play around once they get it. I mean, they'll be out working. So this is a big deal for the county to have this. And Sand Hill is the perfect one because they're not for profit. The reason we don't have broadband is a profit company can't make a profit, so they're not going to spend money here. There is a little small amount of money that we've seen that's kind of like the money that fell out of the sky, but it's about $200,000 that can only be used for certain things, and one of them is broadband. So we're looking at whether or not, working with the Council of Governments, whether or not that money could be used, if the council could consider to put that money towards broadband also, if it can't be used for anything else. We don't know that yet. We'll know that soon, before the 21st. The last item I had here was a meeting with the city, towns, and school board. There had been some discussion before COVID about having everybody come together and try to have, kind of a joint meeting where we talked about things we all want to do. Now, as a year has passed, now we're in a situation where the city's getting ready to do strategic planning. They've just approved that. The county's been doing it for a number of years, and in the fall, we'll, if we keep the schedule we've been doing, we'll look at it and update it again. And the partnership is doing the recreation study. So it may be best to have, if we have a meeting, to have one that just focuses on fellowship and kind of getting to know everybody and general conversation. And I've talked some with the city, with Dr. Prince, and I've talked some with Dr. McCord about this. And if y'all are agreeable, we will work with those folks to try to come up with some dates and a place. I know Councilman Woods, all of you all have had interest in doing this, and find a place where we can gather and maybe break bread and get to know each other and try to find things that we can work on together. It would have to be a public meeting because of quorum, but, I think it would not have any business necessarily there. So is everyone, Mr. Chairman, are y'all okay with trying to get some options for that?
Fine with me, yeah.
Okay, I think it's a good move.
Yeah.
Okay, so we will work on that and try to have you something by June 20, when we come back together on Monday the 21st.
Okay.
So that's all I have. I can answer questions if you have some.
One question. Are we open for business now? I know we're open for business, but since the governor has taken away the emergency status, what is the position of the county as far as outdoor events or anything?
The emergency ordinance that y'all been rolling over and over is either expired or getting ready to expire. It's expired. So that takes my authority to do anything away, and I don't see anything we need to do. We've met with staff, the people that, like recreation and the museum and all that, and it is everybody's opinion that we go back to like it was. So we haven't put a memo out or anything, but yeah, I think we're back where we are. We are still asking employees if they're in a meeting and with people that, if they aren't vaccinated in a meeting, to wear masks. But as far as outdoor events and all, you'll see something soon coming out unless somebody has an opposition to it. Problem with that rule, the rules we've had, is it's difficult to enforce. And, we've already seen a situation where we've seen some of our facilities used with a whole lot of people that really didn't have permission. So I'm not real big on rules you can't enforce anyway. So the answer is yes.
It's a matter of status. Where do we stand as a unit? That's what the citizens are looking for. They're looking for guidance from us. And we need to make a statement as one way or the other how we feel about it. Whether we want it to be wide open or do we still want restrictions on it. We can't enforce it. It's hard to enforce, like you said.
Well,
so I'm still looking for that guidance.
we can make sure it gets in the paper. One thing that we do need to do and make an equal statement on is there has become this, people in the community don't seem to realize that they can't just go use stuff. They've got to come sign up. I mean, you're going to get to use it. But we've had at least something a couple of weeks ago on courthouse grounds that nobody knew anything about. And we at least need to know about it so we make sure, we have things written down, know who's responsible, insurance, releases, all that. So I think you'd be in agreement with the statement is here's what we're going to do, but also make sure you're calling ahead and make sure you got it.
Absolutely.
So.
Yeah, I think that's good. Any more questions for Mr. Muller? All right, thank you, Mr. Muller. All right. Next, we have recognition of citizens' requests for council. First, we have Ms. Pearlie Lawson.
I'm fully vaccinated, so I want to take off this while I speak. Good evening, members of the council, Mr. Chairman, and members of the council, and also to you, Mr. Munderman, and ladies and gentlemen. Thank you for this opportunity to come before the council. And I'll be brief because she's going to speak a few minutes after me, okay? All right. Just a few minutes to hand you something. Miss McQueen, forgive me, having one of those moments. But my name is Pearlie Lawson, and number one is first I want to thank you for allowing the issue that we are here to talk about to be placed on the agenda and that you had some discussion. Thank you so much, so you have an idea of what we're going to speak about. But I'm here as one of the residents and one of the spokespersons for the residents who live on State Street, Marshall Street, Collins Lane, and Graves Lane. We learned a few weeks ago that Pine Gates Renewable, a solar company out of Charlotte, North Carolina, wants to develop a commercial solar energy farm on a parcel of land in our residential neighborhood. After hearing this, we, the residents in this area, met and we united together to draw up this petition that has 39 signatures. And when this petition, I want to leave this for Ms. Munderland too, so you have something to act on. But we drew up this petition asking our leaders and elected officials to say no to stop the development of this solar farm in our neighborhood. We realize that solar is very popular and that there's a lot of benefits with solar. We also know that the landowner who sold the parcel of land, I'm not sure who he is, but he's there to make money. So we're aware of that. Yet, the solar farm will be located in our area. And when we say in our area, in a residential area where we do not know what the harmful effects it may cause, we do not know what will take place. But we do know that we have families who live in that area. We have young adults with children ages 0 to 12. We have middle-aged people who live in that area. And we have senior citizens 65 to 80 years old. No one from this company talked to us. No one considered our feelings. Only thing we know that we just got a letter from the landowner inquiring for them to buy this parcel of land on her side of the fence. Hearing the discussion tonight, we know that the county is really interested in trying to make money and try to develop Marlboro County, and we agree with that. But let's think. If you had think about where Marshall Street is, coming off the bypass, in that little area. You have to leave the bypass to come, whether it's developed there or not. If you're a developer, you have to leave that bypass, come into a residential neighborhood with knitted houses to show off your solar company. What's wrong with number 9? What's wrong with Sherrill Highway? What's wrong with some of those open fields? We're not saying that we're against solar, but we're against it being located in our neighborhood that close. And that's what we want to present tonight. And we want to say to the council, thank you for understanding. We understand too that there's no tight zoning laws in place. We pray that you will consider that. We know that there could be some legality about this company has already purchased this land, but we want to make a statement. We want them to know loud and clear. We do not want them in our neighborhood. So we want them to know that. Whatever it takes, we will stand together. Everybody from the community did not come tonight. We knew that we were going to be in a small space, but we are united. We will flag out, wave our flags, we'll do what's needed, but we are here for our citizens. As I said, it should have been in a field area. I researched the company. They're in Charlotte, North Carolina. They're in Asheville, North Carolina. They're in Jackson Beach, Florida, and they also are in Midland, Missouri. They're all in a farm field land, and there's no housing nearby. So for that reason, we ask that you will consider our proposal, accept our petition to say that to stop the development of this commercial solar company in our residential neighborhood. Thank you. All right, and I would like for you to have that. Ms. McQueen is going to be very brief.
Yes,
Yeah, I made a copy. And I also want you to have a copy of the letter that was sent. Yeah, you got it. Okay, thank you so much.
We're supposed to make sure everybody signed up a few minutes before, but we're gonna let her use a little bit of your time that you got.
Okay, all right, okay.
All right.
Ms. McQueen, they're going
Yeah.
to allow you to use a little bit more of my time.
Yes,
so
yeah,
be
you got a little
brief.
bit of time left, so
So you be brief, Mrs.
Yeah, just remind remind citizens that you're supposed to sign up a certain amount of time
But I
before.
didn't know.
Yeah,
I didn't know.
we're letting you know, but she's got a little bit of time left,
I
so we're
didn't
letting you
know.
take care of it.
What I have done is, when I heard about the solar farm, I did some research on it. Because naturally, you want to know what is going on and what is going to come in your community. And of course, most people do that. I've heard about the pros and the cons. Now, the cons is the problem. Now, I've given you a handout on this, and it says, should a solar farm be located in a residential area? Solar projects should be positioned in a reasonably flat area away from severe human activity. Scientists want to put them in areas in which will have the least amount of adverse environmental impact. Dangerous electromagnetic radiators reduce life expectancy. There are a lot of electromagnetic waves around a solar farm produced by power shortage equipment. Such strong waves are very unhealthy to the body. People living with electromagnetic sensitivity should not live near solar tech farms. Habitat degradation destroys wildlife. Thousands of birds are killed each year from solar farms. If you live near a solar project and experience regular headaches and restlessness, then go to a checkup. It could be life-threatening. Improper disposal of waste materials from solar facility are also very hazardous to the adjacent community, such as the waste materials and mainly energy storage materials like batteries. The property value drops. If you live near a solar industry, the continuous stretch of blue is all the eye sees. It cannot compare to the beauty that swaying trees and birds flying from tree to tree offers. In 2016, it was estimated that solar farms around the United States killed nearly 140,000 birds annually. This number is not accurate because some birds' deaths are not reported. Many people's greatest worry when living near a solar farm is the electricity that is coming off of it. They worry that there is too much electricity and it could be harmful to their health, their electronics, the state of their home, and so on. Why we need birds? Somebody said, okay, let the birds die. We need birds far more than they need us. Birds control pests. Birds pollinate plants. Birds are nature's cleanup crew. Birds spread seeds. Birds transfer entire landscapes. Birds birds is by sinus. I hope I didn't take all your time, but I want to live a little while longer.
All right, thank you, ma'am. All right. Thank you. Thank you. All right. Miss Pearlie gonna get me in trouble up here, yeah, but, all right, I'm just kidding. Yeah, all right, thank you. So, thank y'all for coming out. Like I said, we do like hearing from our citizens whenever there's something in the area, and that's what we're here for, is ears to listen and, do what we can for our citizens. Next, council members, Mr. Woods.
We find over the town of Claudia, we lost several good, important people in our town over the past year. And one thing we know that death is something that you can never prepare for, and we know we all born to die. But we lost some important people. Miss Purdy lost her mother. We lost Mayor Joe Kenny, Miss Johnson, Andy Haley. You know, I don't want to leave anybody out, but these 4 people that was a person in Clio that meant a lot to Clio. No matter whether you the mayor, whether you the town handyman that everybody can call on. A feature in Miss Lawson, Miss Covington, you know, she was always there, you know, for leadership. You know, we know we all have suffered death throughout this whole county. But we would continue, everybody would still continue to move on. I like some of the things that has came today in the meeting. I think the meeting was very productive, a lot of information. I'm looking forward to the 21st when we close down the budget. I did not know as much information I did today about solar. I thank you for the information. It's yeah, I like solar. you know, I think solar could be and like I said, we often nobody is against the thing of solar. Hopefully, maybe the county, maybe we have to land outside in the rural area that we can say, look, bring your solar farm here in an area that the county owns. Out there that is sitting there, and generate this money to help reduce the money that the sheriff needs, the things that we could use money for down the road. When you talk about millions and billions of dollars, and we got a lot of open land. You know, we need to maximize it. If the county go on land, maybe they would leave the residential area and say, okay, thank you for the invite. We will go out there in Juniper. In Claudia got big old beautiful out there, you know, that it's just land, just there. Farmer don't farm on it, you know, just a space, you know. But if they don't know, they ain't gonna go with someone who approach them. So if we can approach them and say, look, let's look at some areas that is not being used in the county, that fit all the quote unquote criteria that we're gonna set up. And maybe they won't go to Marshall Street. They'll take that same money and say, okay, we go out here to Dunbar Stretch somewhere, you know, out there with nobody farming and nobody doing nothing, away from everybody. And we're still gonna generate that money, you know. And like I said, with the meal increases, like Steve said, you know, nobody likes the tax raise. But then yet we gotta make sure that our law enforcement and other thing is well taken care of. Because as soon as somebody breaking somebody's house, we can call Sheriff Lemon. Somebody stole this, somebody stole that, or somebody shot us. And I would come by, I'm short. I don't want to hear it. I really, you know, he won't say that, but you know, he have if you don't have the manpower, you know, to do your job, ain't so much anybody can do. You know, can't bake a cake without an oven. I was gonna say something else, but I would leave that over. Go ahead, Strobel.
All right, Mr. Strobel.
First of all, I'd like to thank everybody that sent their condolences to my family for the loss of my brother. We most certainly appreciate all your kind words and well wishes. Second of all, we have a native from Marlboro County here in Bennettsville that has declared her run for governor, Miss Mia McLeod. And I can't be more prouder than to have someone from Marlboro County, you know, making a run for that office. Successful or not, it doesn't even matter because she's from Marlboro County, you know. But and we will, you know, do what's best. And as far as Miss Lawson, thank you for your presentation. Ms. McQueen, thank you for your education, for educating us a little bit about solar energy. And we will, as a board, probably become a lot more educated on this matter, and we continue to deal with it. And as far as the millage is concerned, tax me if you give me a service, tax me. I don't like it when you tax me and I'm not getting anything for it. And that's been the case around this area for a long time. You know, we've had taxes. We haven't had tax increases for a while, but there's no services. When you don't have any revenue coming in, you can't provide services. Sure. You just can't. And so tax me if this is what it takes to take care of our law enforcement. Because I want Sheriff Lemon, I want you to come. If something is at my house, I want you there. I want your men there, and I want 911 there. You know, so tax me. You know.
Thank you.
Continued prayers to everyone who has lost loved ones during this pandemic and beyond. Continued prayers to council members and their families. We know the job that we have to do is not an easy job, but it's necessary. Want to thank Ms. Lawson and Ms. McQueen for the presentation about the solar panels, solar farm. I think that's a popular thing to throw around now, but there are some dangers. And making sure that those solar farms are in an appropriate area. You know, I'm not sure how they found Marshall Street in that area, out of all the stuff that we got in Marlboro County that's open, but then to find a residential area, for them to place something like that, I think it may be a disservice to those citizens in those communities. So anything that we can do within our means, I'm sure council will take that into consideration. I want to recognize two of my constituents in District 2, Reverend Stubbs and her sister. Reverend Stubbs lives in the Lester community, which is really a forgotten part of Marlboro County. A lot of elderly people are in that area, and no one goes to check and see what's going on out there. You know, from the road condition to the mowing, the grass out there. They can't even walk down the street. You know, those citizens pay their taxes, and we're talking about millage increases, and they're not getting a return for the taxes they're paying right now. They're really concerned. They are active in their communities. Reverend Stubbs, we call her the mayor over there in Leicester, because she really keeps things together in that area. So whatever support the council and Public Works Department and we can give to those forgotten people in our county. There's many areas in our county that nobody thinks about twice. You know, no one goes to sleep and think about what our citizens in those areas have to deal with. Just in Richardson Park, they had a sewage, raw sewage, you know, leak. And we've been talking about the flooding in that area, and we had about 3 weeks of no rain. We could have gone through the Crooked Creek and whatever we could have done. We've asked for a meeting with city officials and our building department to find out what we can. We can't do everything, but there's some stuff that we can do. We can't keep coming. I'm gonna tell you, I had a conversation with a resident, and she was asking me some of the stuff that we can do. And everything she was telling me, and I was basically telling what I was reported is we can't do. And her question to me, well, what can y'all do? And I'm asking that question to us, what can we do? We keep telling they paying their taxes every year, and every time they come to a council member, we telling them one thing, and they call somebody else, and they telling us another thing, and when they're calling somebody, it's almost getting to the point where I'm asking the same question, why are we a board? Why are we a council if there's nothing tangible that we can do to sometimes to touch some of these citizens who are paying their taxes, who are not getting a return on what they are paying, who invested in their community? Some of these people being in these areas 30, 40, 50 years. And for them to at one point say, you know what, let me call my council member and see if we can get, you know, a road repaired, and for them to be told that it's the state's job to do it. You know, it's a disservice to us, and it hurts our credibility on what we can do. So I'm asking that question of all of us. It's a rhetorical question. What is our purpose? And what can we do? Are we just going to meet month to month and with no engagement, collaboration, communication within the 30 days we meet, and then we meet again, and then we meet again, and there's nothing, something. If I wasn't on council, I asked that same question. What do we do? And I've asked that question tremendously over the years before I was fortunate enough to become a council member. What do they do? And if this is the operation that we go through, and I can see why Marlboro County is in the condition it's in for the past 25 years that I've been of age to be cultured enough to understand what's going on. If this is the way we operate, I see why Marlboro County is the highest in the state in almost every negative category ever. Because if this is our operation and there's no change to this operation from month to month, then another 5 years, we're going to be right back here talking about the same issues, doing the same appointments, doing the same ordinances with no movement whatsoever. We have to do better. Our citizens deserve us doing better. And if we're still operating the same we operated 5 years ago, 10 years ago, 15 years ago, 20 years ago, then we've had members on these committees all across the county in those same years, 20 years, and we're still in this position. It's because there's been no movement. There's been none. We meet and we go home. And we come the next month and we meet and then we go home. We have to change that trajectory. We have to change something that we're doing. Because it's obviously that something we're doing is not right. It's obviously that something we're doing is not right. And if we have an opportunity to change our procedures of what we can do, then I think it's beneficial for us to come together and say, if we've been operating like this for the last 50 years, and we have no change, it'd be crazy for us to continue year after year with no changes to anything. I pray hard for this county, I pray hard for this council, but I'm telling you that if we don't change something, if we don't change our procedures and the way we're doing things, then we're going to be right back here another year talking about the same stuff, revisiting the same issues with no movement whatsoever. That's my spiel. Thank you.
I'd like to thank everybody for sharing their thoughts on the solar system and all. I agree too. There's a place and time for everything. You know, certainly don't need to be in their residential area. And that's why we got to get together and get some kind of zoning took care of on it. And, you know, there's a place for it. It'd be right, and there's a place it's not. And so I agree with everybody on that. And, you know, we'll get together and look at all of that. And, you know, I want to thank staff and everybody for what I think they've done a pretty good job in the last few years myself. We had some tough stuff we had to deal with. This detention center that we built, the daggone trash dump, mega dump. We've done a lot more than some people see. We've kept all that out of here. You know, we've kept taxes just as low as we can. We've tried to do everything we can for people. With the trash situation, you know, the library, we've had some big obstacles in our way in the last 5 or 6 years that we have really, if you look back, you'll see we've done a tremendous job. And, you know, and all of it's not perfect. And I agree that we need to keep our eye on the ball and let's keep things rolling. But, you know, there's been more done here than a lot of people see too. And if you go back and look through what's been happening and done in the last 10 years, you'll see some of that stuff. So, you know, I can't put the council down like that. I got to say that you know, that we've done a pretty good job. Now, you know, and we've worked good together. And, you know, I just want people to see that point too. But, and I appreciate the citizens and I'm gonna do my best, and I think everybody on here will, to keep the taxes as low as we can and get the most for it. That's what we after, and I'm here for the betterment of Marlboro County. Not Blenheim, not one section, the whole county. If it's a good thing for all of us, I'll vote for it. I promise you that. So, I just want to appreciate staff, and thank the citizens too. That's all.
Well, what I'd like to say is the Academy Road project is probably maybe this week or early next week. We should be able to hear something definite that it's going to get started. The money is appropriated, and that's the feedback I'm getting is they say within 2 to 3 weeks, which this is the second week, we should hear something. One thing I want to talk about, and this is directed toward the Sheriff's Department. Last Friday, Mark Keel, the director of SLED, he gave a 30-minute public news conference. And in the past year, crime in South Carolina has gone up 25%. Violent crime and murders, and it's not just restricted to the Greenville, Spartanburgs, and the Columbias and the Charlotte. It's restricted all over the county, our county, Dillon County, Chesterfield County. A lot of high points. It's probably one of the best news conferences I've ever seen to let the public know about what kind of situation we're in as far as crime in South Carolina. As a matter of fact, in the last 5 years, crime has gone up. And a couple of the high points that Chief Keel said, Sheriff Lemon, they can't do it all. They've got to have community involvement. And that's where we're lacking at all over this state. It's the community. When you see something going wrong on your community, you see guys running into my house that don't live there, you need to call 911 or the Sheriff's Department and let them know so they can get somebody moving in that direction. It's just not a law enforcement problem, it's a community problem, and everybody needs to get involved. And the last thing I want to say, a lot of y'all remember the former chief, Robert Stewart from Chirral. He always used a saying. He said, if it's not safe to go to church, if it's not safe to go to school, if it's not safe to go to work, then you don't have a community. And we need community involvement to support Sheriff Lemon and his deputies and all the law enforcement people in this county. To reiterate what Mr. Blackman said, I've only been on here, I'm starting my second term, but over the years, my dad was on this council 16 years, and there's a lot's gone on in the past years and stuff. You look at the Sheriff's Department, the way we handle their vehicles and stuff, it's tremendous savings for Marlboro County and gives them better vehicles every time they go out on the road. Marlboro County has covered our fire department with the way that we have invested money in our fire station. We got some of the best insurance ratings and some of the best fire coverage of any county in the state. The EMS system that we did, that was done primarily on citizen complaints about response times that the EMS when it took them 30 and 40 minutes to get to your house. And now they're on time, the vehicles and everything has improved with the EMS, and you can go on and on, We are pretty much depressed as far as industrial taxes and stuff, so we're dependent upon the taxpayers, that is our revenue, and hopefully things are going to get better. But no, there's a lot of good things that have gone on in this county, and I'm like, to put this council down and the previous councils and stuff, no, I just can't sit up here and go along with that because
With all due respect, Mr. Owen, it was not my intention to put the council down, so if that was referring to me, I'm not putting anyone down, I'm just making an observation that citizens have made observations to me, and I've made observations before I was being on this council. So by no means was intended to put anyone down, I'm just highlighting the obvious.
Well, but my intention is the good things that have happened in this county over just since I've been on the council in the last 4 years, a lot of the stuff, the EMS, the fire buildings that we put up and everything. And, but anyway, appreciate the Sheriff's Department, appreciate the Sheriff, and I learned a valuable lesson last Friday that we have got to some way get the community involved in supporting our law enforcement people. That's it.
Sheriff Lemon?
Yes, sir. Mr. Chairman, County Council, first let me say, I appreciate y'all individually, appreciate you collecting, Mr. Administrator, all this in attendance. And I want to piggyback on what Mr. Stoughton said. That press conference last Friday, it's 46 sheriffs in the state of South Carolina, and I was one of the ones on the front line up there, me and the sheriff and the PD, Douglas Cornell, the Sheriff of Chesterfield County, James Dixon, Sheriff of Dalton County, James Hudson, and myself, the PD. And we all have the same issues and the same problems. And I would agree, it's just not a law enforcement problem. It is a community problem and a community effort because, you know, with y'all help, we can make it. But without you all's help, we can't make it. Only thing we can do is do what we can do. But with you all, there's power in numbers. And we can do it with y'all's help. And the last thing I want to say again, I appreciate, my department appreciate you all, and appreciate everything that y'all have done even up to this point. I just want to say thank you so very much.
Thank you, Sheriff. Thank everyone in attendance tonight, Ms. Lawson and all, and Ms. McQueen. I thank y'all for coming out. Thank staff for the hard work and dedication they've been doing to prepare this budget. Hopefully we'll be back in it in a couple weeks and get this budget approved and be ready to move forward for some new things. We stand adjourned.